Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a process video for you today. I'm working on day 2 of Who You Are from Bythewell4god. I am of course working in my altered book, and I'm going to be doing a sort of mixed media preparation for today. And I have started out with some distress paint in lumberjack plaid, and I added just a very small amount of black gesso to this just to kind of deepen that color. To get really the tone that I was looking for. And I'm just kind of dry brushing this on, but this paper is very thirsty paper because it's from an old book, and so it's really absorbing a lot more of the paint in a different way than I had intended. And so I'm just kind of spreading this out. I'm not going all the way to the edges. I wanted this to have that border so that you could still see the altered page behind it. So I'm adding a little bit more. I didn't have quite enough paint for both pages. And then this is, things just start going downhill from here. I will just preface this whole thing with saying that I end up really not liking this at all. And so I'm going to work my way through kind of fixing it. So I thought I would just keep this in so you can kind of see. I've mentioned this before in my videos. Sometimes you don't like what you're doing, and it's okay, but there's usually a way to fix it. You just kind of have to keep moving forward. So all of the steps that you see me doing right here, adding some more paint, adding some more, color to try to balance out the sides, all of this is in keeping with trying to fix this page. But really, there's a reason I don't use red as a very bold background. In my brain, it just does not, I don't know. I love the color red. It doesn't work for me in a big black background. I don't know. I just struggle with it. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea, but here we are. So I thought the next thing that I could do would be, I wanted to use this stencil, and I'm going to try to pull in some of that background color again, the actual book page. So I'm using the color Sand from Dina Wakley and some light and fluffy modeling paste, and I'm going to use that Harlequin stencil to create some interest in the background. In my mind, this was going to work a completely different way. You can see I'm just mixing the paint with my palette knife there. And I like to work on an acrylic block. It just makes things easier. It's easy to clean. So that's what I'm doing over there. But in my mind, this was going to work out really well. And you'll see, we'll just work through the process. So I'm spreading this out, holding the stencil down. Even though this is like a distressed look stencil, I am trying to keep it still uneven and kind of distressed in how I'm applying it. So you can see I'm not covering the full stencil. I'm leaving some places thicker and some places where it doesn't even complete the full triangle. And then I'm going to move over to the side. I thought originally I would just kind of do sort of long borders on either side. And in the end, I'm really not enjoying what is happening right now. And then I dropped my stencil. I tried to clean off the back of it, and I kind of a little bit unsuccessful. And you can see, like I said, it's meant to look distressed. And so I'm just kind of leaning into that, sort of lining up my stencil, adding some more texture paste down here toward the gutter of the book. And I'll do some up here at the top, and just, spreading that stencil around. And at this point, I am really just not in love with this page at all. And so I decided to just let it dry and come back to it. And sometimes that helps, and sometimes it gives you an idea of how to fix it. So in this instance, it did not help. I still don't like it at all. So I thought, well, maybe I can push some of that red back just a little bit more by adding some more of just the sand paint in the background. Excuse me. And in the end, it's just not giving the coverage that I want for it, and it's not giving the effect that I have in my mind's eye, I guess. So I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm just going to keep working this to try to see if I can get it to look the way that I have it in my mind. And in the end, it's really just not coming together in the way that I had hoped. So at this point, I'm kind of debating what am I going to do? And then at this moment, I'm pausing here for a second because I'm like, okay, I'm just going to cover the whole thing. So I grabbed some more paint and covered the entire page. I covered all of the red with this sand colored paint. And I still wanted to be able to see the texture. And you can kind of see there are little bits of that colors sort of peeking through. But in the end, I want to be able to kind of highlight the texture. So I'm spraying across the top of the book and down with some water before I come in with this Distress Oxide spray. This is Scorched Timber that I'm using here. And I sprayed that across the top, and then I'm going to come back in with some water and just really get all of that ink to flow down through and kind of filter its way down through all of the little pattern of the stencil with the texture paste. So I'm trying also, I have a paper towel down there to kind of catch some of those drips to try to avoid getting it onto my fabric cover of my book. And so once it kind of caught all the drips, I laid it back down. I'm going to spray some more water and just try to get this oxide spray to really move around the page the way that I want. And you'll see like in some areas it really catches the texture paste in really cool ways. I love this technique. I love oxide sprays over distress, or over like crackle paste or texture paste or whatever. It just has such a fun effect. And because there was paint over the texture paste, it made it even do some different kinds of effects, which I really love. So I'm just gonna kind of spray that. I'm mopping up a few little puddles there with my paper towel, and then I will dry that. And of course it's gonna dry with that oxidization. It's just gonna look, you know, really interesting. At least I feel like it's interesting. I love this much better than I did the red. So sometimes you just have to keep working. If you get to that like messy middle stage with mixed media, it's usually because you're just not done yet. You need to do something else. And sometimes that something else, at least for me, is slapping some paint on top of it and, you know, moving on and pretending like that first layer of red never happened. But I have this journaling card, which was kind of the inspiration for this page, actually, that I really love with that red color. And so I want to maintain that as the focus over there on the right-hand side. And you'll see what I was just doing there with that ephemera piece. I have a Tombow color, that number I cannot remember right at the moment. I'll try to remember to link it in the description, but it has that same kind of color as the background of my paper, the book page. And I didn't want to trim out the entire ephemera piece because it helps sometimes to have a border when you have like really busy patterns to help it kind of pop off. So I just use that around the border of that to kind of knock it back to a similar color without like having to heavily distress it or anything like that. It just kind of helps it blend in, at least to my eye. And then I'm going to create a little pocket over here with some vellum, so that you can still see this journaling card over here on the right side. I am adding as little glue as I possibly can, because anytime you're introducing a wet glue to vellum, it likes to make the vellum curl up, especially a thinner vellum. This is a little bit of a heavier weight, so I didn't have too much problem, but I am holding it down just until that glue dries. It's one of the reasons I like art glitter glue, is because it dries really quickly. And then I'm adding a little clear sticker over the top of this just to add some interest and bring in even some more color over on this right-hand side. Just going over this with a bone folder, that kind of helps those clear stickers to blend into the background. Just kind of blends the edge in a little bit better. And then you can see I have that file folder over there, and I have that ephemera piece that I already colored the border on. And then this label that has the verse typed out on it. I love these labels. I don't know about anybody else, but I love them with the verse typed out on them. I hope they do these again in the future. I'm just really enjoying those, but I'm just going to glue those two pieces down here onto my little file folder, and that is going to hold some more of my notes. This devotional is already jam-packed full of scripture, and as I think I've mentioned this before, it's really important to me to write out all of the verses that are in the devotional, and so whether I do that in the journal that I'm creating or in a notebook or whatever, it's just part of the process that I work through when I'm studying. And so I end up with a lot of journaling cards sometimes. So I had off camera there, I stamped the number 2, and I added the sticker that says family. This is the day that we're talking about, being God's family, and it's as part of who we are. And so I had that. I did that same thing with that label where I colored the background with that Tombow marker, and then I actually added that label to some cardstock and then cut it out, so just to give it a little bit more stability. And then I popped it up with some little itty bitty teeny tiny pop dots, which worked out really perfectly because they kind of nestled down between the texture paste, so I could get a nice even layer or level of that label. And then I added another little ephemera piece up in the top right hand corner, and that's it for me. So if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, bye.